Welcome back to LT Gaming everyone, my name is Tom and today I'm diving headfirst into Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era, the upcoming newest chapter in a legendary turn-based strategy series, and it's been over a decade since we got a new Heroes title, and this one is shaping up to be something quite special. Set on the long-lost continent of Jadame, a place we've heard whispers about but never explored in a Heroes game at least, Olden Era promises a vibrant world bustling with life, magic and of course danger. So building magnificent cities to leading armies of mythical creatures in tactical all or nothing battles, the game is aiming to capture that classic Heroes magic while adding its own twists. But let's not forget where this game comes from. Heroes 2 and 3 are still ruling the fanbase decades on after their release, thanks in part to incredible modding communities. Shout out to classics like Horn of the Abyss here. The bar is going to be sky high, so can Olden Era live up to this legacy? That is the million gold question. In this video I'll unpack everything we know so far, from world building to faction lore, new mechanics, hero systems and a few things that might raise an eyebrow or two. And hey, if you enjoy thoughtful deep dives like this, feel free to like the video, drop a comment with your thoughts and maybe even subscribe if you fancy sticking around. Right, let's jump in. Jadame, a land of wild magic, ancient grudges and more than a few things better left buried. And it's a new name, but not to Might and Magic fans. It was in fact the setting of Might and Magic 8, Day of the Destroyer, but Olden Era marks the first time we'll be exploring it in a Heroes of Might and Magic game. And it's not exactly a peaceful time to visit. A demonic force is rising, and even the normally backstabbing dungeon faction is calling for some unity, which tells you how dire things have become. The campaign is going to throw you into a non-linear choice-driven story, so you can broker alliances to save the continent or let chaos take hold and reshape Jadame in your image. I remember in Heroes 2 playing through the Roland and Archibald campaign, and I love the branching choices, so I'm really happy they're going back to this style of campaign. And if story-driven campaigns aren't your thing, don't worry, Olden Era will offer custom scenarios, quick skirmishes and of course randomly generated maps. So this is a fresh setting for the Heroes series, but it's still grounded in the familiar world of Enroth. New lands, but classic soul, and if the devs can pull it off, Jadame could be the start of a bold new chapter for this series. So as you explore Jadame, 6 unique factions will greet or challenge you, and Olden Era mixes some returning fan favourites with brand new creations, each with distinct playstyles, creatures, heroes, faction abilities, so let's break them down. The Noble Knights of the Temple are going to be your classic human faction. Think regal castles, chivalrous knights, priests and angels. They're essentially the haven or castle of Olden Era. Temple will likely be your comfort zone. It's described as the faction of classic knights, so expect a well-rounded, beginner-friendly playstyle. Interestingly, the developers have tweaked Temple quite a bit based upon feedback, so it shows their dedication to getting things right. Olden Era's Necropolis faction next, and this one's paying homage to the classic Heroes Necromancer faction that we see in every game, with its graveyard aesthetic and life drain gameplay. True to form, Necropolis focuses on raising the dead, overwhelming enemies with sheer numbers of those undead, and so if you enjoy necromancy in any of the Heroes game, but particularly Heroes 3, I think you can be right at home here. The Sylvan faction next, packing a punch and hailing from the enchanted Murmur Woods. Each Sylvan unit is going to have unique abilities that synergize to give you a lot of tactical options. So I think Sylvan is more likely going to be the finesse faction, using the power of nature to control the battlefield rather than brute force. If you enjoyed the Rampart and Sylvan towns in past Heroes, or maybe the recent Songs of Conquest take on the Fey folk, I think you're going to appreciate how Olden Era brings the might of nature into this fight. The Shadowy Depths next comes the Dungeon faction, home of dark elves, sinister sorcery and creatures of the deep earth. Fans of Heroes 3 Dungeon or Heroes 5 Dark Elves will know the vibe. Stealth, subterfuge and powerful magic. In Olden Era, Dungeon is described as underground creatures and dark elves, so expect units like stealthy assassins, minotaurs, troglodytes, and perhaps a dragon or two lurking around the tunnels. Next up is a faction giving me the creeps, but in a good way. We have the Hive, a terrifying blend of insect monsters corrupted by demonic influence. The Hive is basically going to be the big bad of the campaign, an invasion force that others must unite against. On the battlefield, it looks like they're going to specialise in overwhelming swarms, poison and relentless aggression. Think Zerg rushing, but fantasy, so it's a bold new faction we haven't really seen in Heroes before. I do think the Hive could play somewhat similar to the classic Inferno faction of Heroes 3, but combined with some sort of swarm-like mechanics. And rounding out the roster is one faction that is still under wraps. The devs have confirmed 6 factions at early access launch, and the last one's only going to be revealed closer to the date. Naturally, the community is buzzing with speculation. Could it be the Barbarian Stronghold, a return of the Academy, or perhaps a new twist like a sea naval faction like Cove we see in Horn of the Abyss? We're just gonna have to wait and see. But we do know that more factions are planned after the launch through updates or DLC, so it's not going to be the last faction we see, which makes me happy because I do feel there's a few gaps in the lineup here that I'd like to see implemented in Olden Era. A Heroes game wouldn't be much without, well, heroes of course. They're going to be the backbone of your armies, the hoarders of every magical trinket on the map, and the ones turning ragtag militias into unstoppable forces of nature. Olden Era is going to bring back the classic hero leveling system we all know from Heroes 3, but with some modern polish. The devs have taken what worked in Heroes 3 and 5 and blended it, and added depth without overcomplication. Their motto is, if it works, don't break it, just improve it, and you can't really argue with that sentiment. Here's how it plays out. Your heroes still gain XP from battles and exploring, then level up to improve stats or unlock skills. You can choose up to 8 skills per hero, and each one comes with its own branching sub-skills. So 2 heroes with the same core skill might play very differently depending on what perks they pick. So it's a nice way to keep things fresh without preventing one meta path from just dominating. Each hero also starts with their faction's unique skill, so a Necropolis hero will come packing Necromancy from day 1, while a Temple champion might have leadership or something equally noble and shouty of course. So it instantly gives each faction's heroes their own flavour, and proper Heroes 2 and 3 vibes here. But it also goes further than that. Olden Era is going to add subclasses, borrowed and reworked from Heroes 7. These will unlock as you specialise, so pick the right combo of skills and your knight might become a paladin with an army-wide buff, or an inquisitor with unique spells, and this is all entirely optional too, so you can ignore it if you like. The kicker is here, the first time in the series, both heroes and creatures will have active abilities. That means dragons might have proper fire breath, or your hero could rally their troops mid-fight. So a tactical twist we've not seen in Heroes before, and I'm all for this. So in many ways it's shaping up to be classic Heroes, but we can also see the DNA of classic games like King's Bounty taking part here as well. One of the best things about the Heroes series has always been choice. From epic campaigns to lazy hot seat afternoons with friends, and Olden Era is going to fully embrace that legacy, offering a range of game modes to suit whatever mood you're in. At the core is the campaign, set in Jadame as we know, a non-linear story-driven journey full of decisions, big battles, and consequences that carry across the missions, so this is perfect for the lore lovers and strategy fiends alike. Then there's Classic Mode, your traditional sandbox skirmish. You start with a town and a hero, explore the map, build up your forces, and wage war at your own pace. This will be packed with quality of life upgrades too, so new win conditions, updated pacing, and support for advanced tactics like hero chaining. Longtime fans, you're going to feel right at home here. And then the one hero mode. It's a fresh twist, you just manage one hero, and I really like the sound of this. If they fall, it's game over. It's going to be quicker, more focused, and ideal for newcomers or veterans after a streamlined challenge. Think of this as the roguelike cousin of the main game. And then there's Arena mode. No building, no map, just pure tactical combat. Pick your army, grab your spells, and jump straight into the action. It's fast, intense, and tailor-made for duels or casual matches. On top of all that, Olden Era will include a map editor, random map generator, full multiplayer support, leaderboards, and even observer modes. So yes, you can play all of this solo or multiplayer. Let's talk presentation next, how Olden Era looks, sounds, and feels. Visually, the game is sticking to the familiar formula, a top-down adventure map, hex-based battles, and it's all rendered in 3D of course, and it's still going for this board game inspired layout that made the classic Heroes series so easy to fall in love with. Longtime players will spot familiar landmarks like Learning Stones and Dragon Utopias, reimagined in vibrant detail. Maps do feel rich with motion, windmills spin, rivers shimmer, creature dwellings brim with character. But that being said, not everyone is sold on the art direction. Some fans feel it leans a touch too stylized, I've heard people claim mobile game graphics, and it's a bit too soft in places, especially when compared to the sharper, darker, hand-drawn tone of Heroes 3. I do think this is a valid concern, and so I'm going to be interested to see how the visuals evolve throughout the early access as well. UI wise, the devs are aiming for a classic fantasy charm with modern usability. Think cleaner menus, tooltips, accessibility settings, everything you'd expect in a modern title. Now the music is going to be absolutely top shelf. Paul Anthony Romero is back, the man behind Heroes' most iconic scores, and he is joined by Chris Velasco and the Heroes Orchestra, so it's shaping up to be a soundtrack that will blend sweeping nostalgia with some cinematic punch. Altogether, the devs' mantra is going to sum this up: faithful, familiar and fresh. And if they can get the balance right and not go too mobile with the graphics, Olden Era could look and sound like the Heroes games we remember of the past, but reimagined for modern systems. Let's talk about who's actually making Olden Era happen, and why that's both exciting and in places a little curious and maybe confusing. The game is being developed by Unfrozen, an indie studio formed back in 2016 by veterans who worked on World of Warcraft, Disco Elysium, and the list goes on and on. Maybe most importantly, they're also massive Heroes of Might and Magic fans, so this isn't just another studio for hire job. And if you've ever joined any of their live streams, you can feel the passion in how they speak about the game. Their first title, Eratus Lord of the Dead, sold over 500,000 copies and carved out a cult following as kind of an undead flavoured Darkest Dungeon, but nowhere near as difficult. They handled early access well with that one, and it gives me a fair bit of confidence. But developing a new Heroes title is no small task, and this is where things get interesting. Ubisoft, who own the IP, have brought in Hooded Horse to co-publish this game, and honestly I think that's great news. Hooded Horse are strategy nuts and are known for supporting breakout hits like Old World, Terra Invicta, Against the Storm, and I could go on and on here. And their involvement tells me this project is being churned out, it's going to be nurtured. That being said, I do find myself wondering why Ubisoft is so hands off. Is this a case of smart delegation, or was the project not quite hitting the bar? And I don't know here. Either way, having Hooded Horse on board gives me more faith than concern, but there is a question mark. One thing to keep in mind is Olden Era is officially a prequel, so it's set before Heroes 3. And if everything can click, the passion, the lore, the legacy, it might just be the spark that will bring the Heroes series back for good. Right, let's address the bone dragon in the room. Olden Era is launching into early access, and yes, it's already been delayed once. The original plan was to release in early or midway through 2025 to mark the series' 30th anniversary, but the devs have pushed it to later in the year, simply saying they need more time to meet expectations. They've expanded beta testing, improved town screens, fine-tuned the UI, and is showing that they're clearly not cutting corners, and frankly I'd rather they delay the early access than launch something half-baked, but I am a little troubled by the delays as well, I'll be honest. Once the early access hits, it's going to likely run for a year. During that time we've been promised new factions, more modes and regular updates. So it's less of a finished product and more of a foundation. A Heroes game that you're going to be able to help to shape, and I find that very exciting and a little bit nerve-wracking too. Let's be honest, early access games can launch thin or unbalanced, and next to the polished mods of Horn of the Abyss for example, expectations are going to be sky high. Unfrozen does have a good track record with Eratus, which gives me some confidence. With Hooded Horse on board, a publisher that's going to listen, I'm cautiously optimistic. If they can communicate well, patch often, and listen to the player base, Olden Era could absolutely become the full-fat Heroes revival we've all been waiting for. So where does all of this leave us? Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era feels more than just like a nostalgia play. I feel it's a genuine attempt to revive the soul of a classic and push it forward in some meaningful ways. It's got the bones of what we're going to love, rich world building, addictive turn-based strategy, and that distinct Heroes flavour. But it's also taking some risks. Deeper hero progression, fresh modes like One Hero and Arena, and a brand new setting in Jadame that gives the team some space to explore things. Yes, it's going to launch in early access, and sure there are some lingering questions. from the maybe over-stylized visuals to Ubisoft's curious hands-off role, but with a passionate dev team and Hooded Horse backing the project and a player-first approach, I'm cautiously optimistic this could be the Heroes revival we've been quietly hoping for. So what do you think? Are you ready to dive back in? Do you have any reservations? Is there things that are alarming you on the game? And maybe which faction are you most drawn to? Let me know in the comments. I really want to engage with you guys on this one. Alright guys, I hope you've enjoyed this deep dive. Like and sub to the channel if you want to see more of this content. And until then, I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye now.